Here's the former governors. Markham. So this is the original front door.
Once you cross that Tower Bridge, you're actually in a separate county. If you're not familiar with the Sacramento area, we're in Sacramento County. You just cross right over that bridge and you're now in Yolo County. So that bridge separates the two counties here. But upon entering the building through the front doors here, you would come into this rotunda area. You would see the statue, you would look up, and you would see what is the interior dome here. Now, what we're looking at here is not what you're seeing if you were outside the building looking up. There's actually a dome within a dome. Old Italian Renaissance architectural design that goes all the way back to 1418, actually. Now, from where we're standing looking up to the kind of centermost point of the interior dome there, it's called the oculus. From that oculus, there's actually a 90-foot spiral staircase that connects the inner dome, which is what we're looking at here, with the outer dome, which is what you're looking at outside the building. It's how you get to that spiral staircase. It's how you get to the very top of the building, that really small part. It's called the cupola. But that spiral staircase that connects the two domes does a little bit more than just give people access to the top. Unfortunately, they don't really let people go up there anymore. I got to do it one time. It's terrifying. But that spiral staircase that connects the two domes actually keeps the two domes from collapsing on one another in the event of an earthquake or a natural disaster.
Yep.
In California, we're kind of earthquake prone. There's a lot of tectonic plate activity throughout our state, and it's always sort of a concern. In the early 1970s, they had a seismic report of the entire building. This was before we had that restoration, where they basically deemed this building unsafe in the event of one of those earthquakes or natural disasters. So part of that restoration is not only to kind of redo the designs within the building, but to also make it more structurally sound. And that sort of staircase that connects the two domes is a good example of that. Next thing I want to talk about is this statue here. The title of this statue is Columbus's Last Appeal to Queen Isabella. We have Christopher Columbus here holding a small globe, and he's trying to get Queen Isabella to fund his voyage to what he believed was India. We know as history played out, Columbus landed nowhere near India, and certainly nowhere near California. Instead, he found himself about 3,000 miles from here, somewhere in the Bahamas. So people ask, why do we have a statue of Columbus in the California state capital when it has nothing to do with our state's history? This statue was a gift, and if you get a little bit closer down here, you can see that it says presented by D.O. Mills. Now, D.O. Mills was originally from the East Coast. He came to California during the gold rush, settled right here in Sacramento, but rather than mine for gold, he invested. That's how he earned his fortune. He invested in the railway. He invested in a lot of businesses that supported mining, and then he started his own bank called the Gold Bank of D.O. Mills. The original structure for that building is still here in downtown Sacramento. It's now been converted into a really fancy restaurant. It's pretty cool. It's called The Bank because it looks like a really old bank. It's on 7th and J Street, kind of right by the arena. I recommend checking it out if you just even want to see what some cool architecture looks like. But the reason that we have this statue is because D.O. Mills gifted it to this building. Now, prior to the construction of this building, the location of the state capitol here in California had bounced around to 6 different cities here in Northern California, and that was between 1850 and 1854. D.O. Mills, being a banker here in Sacramento, he wanted the permanent location of the state capitol building to remain here in Sacramento, and this was sort of his way of, I don't want to say bribing, but his way of sort of gifting this statue as a way to say, you know, keep the location here, it's good for my business, it's good for my bank, and that is why we have this statue here today. It is made from a single block of Carrara marble. It's the same marble as Michelangelo's statue of David. They were done about 350 years apart from one another, but it does come from the same marble quarry in Italy. I believe it's just north of Tuscany. Being that we are the state capitol building, we have a lot of demonstrations. I don't want to say protests, but we have groups that like to gather. Oftentimes, or for the most part, they're very peaceful. A lot of times they take place right outside these doors here in the West Steps. But from time to time, we will get groups who will come in and sort of take over this rotunda area. And there has been some damage done to the statue during some of those
Wow,
protests that
they've done protests and damaged the statue.
sort of see some examples of that. So check out, you can see where the finger on the page, where the boy servant for Isabella here has been broken off. You can move in closer if you want to take a look at it too. Both of Isabella's index and middle finger have been broken off as well.
Oh,
You can actually see, if you look, it's kind of hard because its arm sort of goes over it, but you can actually see a chunk where rope is missing from around Columbus's, I call it his cape, I don't really know what the official word for what he's wearing is.
oh, I see it
there.
right there.
Yeah. It used to be an old tradition for staffers of legislators to gather here on the second floor, and they would throw coins off the side to try and get it in Isabella's crown there. And from what we've heard, some damage was done to the statue because of that, so they had to ask that they no longer do that. I've heard that they now throw cotton balls. I've never seen anybody do it.
So that's where the
by
finger was
way, but
broken.
We've heard that they now do cotton balls. I can't imagine it's very easy to get a cotton ball from the second story up there into her crown. And again, I've never seen anybody do it. That's the top. So.
One marble slab created this statue.
They have to get permits. You have to get permits to hold a demonstration. It's a lot of times, I guess also too, it depends on what your definition of a demonstration or a protest would be. Sometimes it's just groups and they sort of, hold some sort of rally or something outside. It's not like a weekly occurrence, and then there's certain times of year where you might, see it's heavier with demonstrations than not. So it just kind of depends on the type of year. It depends on what's going on too, what the kind of political climate is, and things like that. So around budget time, certainly. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Any other questions? All right. Before we leave here, I do want to show you guys one more thing. If you want to follow me around the statue here. Stop right here. So just behind me here, this is the East Annex. This is a newer constructed part of the building. It's where you all came in through security. And you may have seen walking down these hallways some of the county displays. There are 58 county displays for 58 counties in California. Prior to this East Annex, we had on the west, or the east wing of the building here an apse. It was a circular structure that was on the rear of the building. And that apse housed a lot of state offices and departments here in the building, all of which are now off-site. The library and courts office was here in the apse. The state controller's office was in the apse. And after World War II, California was at a period of expansion. So much so that we outgrew the apse. So by 1949, they had torn down the apse. And by 1952, they had constructed this 6-story East Annex. It now houses the Lieutenant Governor's office, all of the legislative offices, and right down there is the current governor's office, right where that bronze bear statue is. Now that statue, just like our statue here of Isabella and Columbus, is also a gift to this building. It's a lot newer than this statue, and it was given to us by one of our more recent former governors, Governor Schwarzenegger. Now, I'm about to tell you guys an absolutely true story about how that statue found its way here. Governor Schwarzenegger, acting governor of California at this time, is on a skiing trip with his family in Aspen, Colorado. They decide that they want to take a break from skiing for the day, so they decide to do a little shopping. They walk into a store somewhere in Aspen. I don't know what store it was. I don't know what they sold other than a giant bronze bear statue. He's acting governor at the time. Our state animal is the California grizzly bear. So Governor Schwarzenegger sees that statue and he thinks to himself, what more appropriate thing to have outside my office at the state capitol than a big giant bronze bear. So he purchased it on the spot, had it shipped from Colorado here to Sacramento, and it's been outside the governor's office ever since. If you guys are on Twitter, that particular bear has its own Twitter page. They call it the Bacteria Bear on Twitter. I didn't come up with it, but oftentimes when we have school groups and younger kids running around the building, you see them climbing all over it, taking pictures on it, putting their hands on it. So that's where it gets its name, Bacteria Bear. So give it a follow or retweet or whatever. If you are interested. Yes, sir.